6 months ago, nobody had heard of Among Us. Then, suddenly, it became impossible to avoid.
Guys, PewDiePie did not do his card swipe earlier.
Exist in this game,
I think it's looking PewDiePie, then we get PewDiePie out first. I'm on PewDiePie. You guys can win the game.
Oh, excuse me, dude.
Let him use.
But I'm not with you. I'm on reactor. Me and Pope done and we work together.
There's no way for her to know.
Was it a spontaneous overnight success, or was there something else to it?
My teammate is scoring. My teammate is scoring.
What's up, ProGuides family? I'm Stef Woodburn. I'm a Twitch streamer and host and also writer-performer, and I'm so glad to join you all today. Today, we're gonna be looking at how Among Us avoided us all for almost 2 years before becoming one of the biggest games around. Among Us initially released on June 15th, 2018, and was created by a 3-person development team that called themselves Inner Sloth. The team was made up of only 3 people: Forrest Willard, the main programmer, Marcus Bromander, the animator and designer, and Amy Liu, who was in charge of the art direction. The game was first launched on mobile devices before eventually releasing on PC 3 months later. It had cross-play multiplayer between both platforms, but still only managed a grand total of 30 to 50 players per hour. Not the sort of launch you want for a game that plays best with 10 people. Despite this, Inner Sloth continued to support Among Us, constantly updating it, sometimes even weekly, while dipping into their savings. Eventually, it developed an audience with players mainly from Brazil, Korea, and the Middle East.
E aí, amigos, aqui quem fala é o Godenote, trazendo mais vídeo pra vocês. Hoje, meus amigos, mais um episódio de Among Us. Exatamente, galera.
Large gaming YouTubers in those countries, such as Kevin Choi and Goodnew, created videos on the game from December 2018 to early 2019. This provided Among Us with its first big burst of popularity, a boost which it desperately needed. Spiraling off the success, Inner Sloth continued to provide frequent updates until Among Us reached a total of 1 million downloads in May 2019. Among Us had now become profitable with a huge active community entirely on mobile devices, but their game's player base still averaged in the low hundreds on Steam. To keep supporting Among Us, Inner Sloth released 2 new maps, Mira HQ and Polis, as paid DLC near the end of 2019, both of which offered new ways of approaching and playing the game. On January 7th, 2020, Inner Sloth posted a blog post celebrating the end of Among Us. It was a solemn post about how, in the team's view, the game was a great success and it was finished. The game's player count had been decreasing for the past 4 months on Steam, and they decided to announce they were going to make the DLC free. The post then ended with how the development team would be leaving to work on all new projects. That is, until a British YouTuber named Kaif made a YouTube video on Among Us the very next day. Titled "Local Idiot Gets Entire Team Killed," Kaif's video drew a lot of attention. It was an edited compilation taken from his Twitch stream playing Among Us with a group of friends. Despite having around 450,000 subscribers at the time, his video managed to reach over 1 million views by May, and today stands at over 2 million. After releasing the video, Kaif continued to play Among Us regularly all the way up till today. Shortly after the video came out, the peak player count of Among Us almost tripled on Steam. Among Us's lead programmer, Forrest, guessed that this wasn't a coincidence, and that Kaif's video actually advertised the game to a brand new audience, the European market, most of whom likely had never come across the game before. Valve saw this attention being drawn to Among Us and contacted Inner Sloth, asking if they'd like to put their game on sale as a daily deal. Despite the name of the program, a Steam daily deal actually goes on sale for the next 48 hours. Steam then pushes the game to the front page of their store, where thousands of new potential buyers can now discover the game for the first time. Inner Sloth agreed, and Among Us was put on sale at half price. According to Forrest, each of those 2 days produced an entire month of sales. After the deal had ended, Inner Sloth noticed their sales had dropped, but had not returned to normal. People were still buying Among Us at a much higher rate than they were before. The game's average player count had begun growing on Steam again, very slowly, but it was after months of it decreasing. That takes us to May 7th, 2020, where Swedish former Dota 2 pro Admiral Bulldog played Among Us for the first time.
It's Bulldog. I saw him kill Bruce on cameras. I was sitting on cameras.
Oh, God!
God.
Cameras? What the
I was
fuck are
sitting on
cameras?
security cameras.
Cameras?
Security cameras. I was
Oh,
watching.
no.
Are you pretending?
Oh, you mean the stream camera?
Bulldog had built an international fan base off his career in the Dota 2 scene. After playing for Alliance and winning Valve's prestigious TI tournament in 2013, Bulldog retired and set his sights on streaming on Twitch full-time. From his unique sense of humor to his laid-back and relaxing attitude, it's easy to see how he built a community of over 700,000 followers. His total watch time in May for Among Us was over 63,000 hours, exposing it to a whole new audience. Other large streamers in the Dota 2 community, like Sing Sing and Ray, discovered the game soon after and started to stream it often as well. This had a noticeable effect on the sales of the game on Steam, where Among Us jumped from around 1,200 peak players to almost 3,000 by the start of June. Around this time, Steam began preparing for its annual summer sale. It's difficult to accurately express just how much hype there is around the Steam summer sale every year. Almost every game on the store goes on sale. Popular game journalism sites like IGN and GameSpot write articles about it annually, and there are tons of memes just about this one event. Far more games are bought and played during this 2-week period on Steam than any other time. Developers can't afford to ignore it, especially indie ones. In 2020, the Steam summer sale would run from June 25th to July 9th. Conveniently, almost immediately after streamers like Bulldog drew attention to Among Us. Despite the rise in interest, Innersloth chose to put the game on its biggest price cut yet. At 75% off, the game cost only $1.24. A smart choice, since it pushed the game into one of the top sellers on Steam. By June 29th, the game reached almost 7,000 for its peak player count and was still continuing to grow. From May 2020 to July 10th, Bulldog streamed for over 450 hours, but only 13 of those were him playing Among Us. So it should be considered nothing else but a miracle that somehow Twitch employee Pluto tuned in and caught one of them. You might even say the stars aligned. Pluto, having found the game on an Admiral Bulldog stream, recommended Among Us to another Twitch streamer.
It's a fun game.
So Pluto. This stupid game called Among Us. Like,
Don't call it a stupid game. It's great.
It's clear Soda has an incredible reach with almost 3 million followers and over 300 million total views on Twitch. It's true that Among Us has an online matchmaking mode that most people play, but it doesn't translate too well to Twitch as you can have griefers and stream snipers. To avoid this, Soda invited other streamers to play with him in a private game instead, like XQC, Hasanabi, and PokeLaws. All of a sudden, you had the most followed people on the platform bringing their unique audiences together to watch a single game of Among Us. So, while they barely streamed Among Us relative to their main content, even one session would reach an extraordinary amount of people. Especially as large streamers coming together in this way to play the same game usually only happens because of tournaments or a Twitch Rivals event. This inspired both their viewers and other streamers to try out the game.
What are you doing? What an idiot.
To Innersloth, though, the game was complete. They had been working on publishing another game the entire time, even during the development of Among Us, the Henry Stickmin collection. The game was the work of Marcus Bromander, the animator and developer of Among Us, better known by his online handle, Puffballs United. It was a group of 5 remasters plus one brand new game. They were classic point-and-click flash games that released on Newgrounds in the early 2010s. The original versions of these games did extremely well, each getting over several million views. And that's excluding the hundreds of websites that rehosted them. Looking at you, Cool Math Games. The Henry Stickmin collection released on August 7th on Steam and performed much better than Among Us did at launch. After a week, it had almost 2,500 reviews on Steam and sat at its highest rating of overwhelmingly positive. It's fair to say Henry Stickmin's launch drew even more people to Among Us while it was already blowing up. At this point, nothing was going to stop Among Us from growing. Streamers were playing it even more, it was free on both app stores, and they even announced a sequel in August. But nobody could have predicted how large it would grow through September. On the 3rd, it had over 3 million downloads just on Android. By the 8th, it had over 50 million, and on the 21st, it passed 100 million. On Steam, it jumped from 73,000 peak players in August to over 400,000 in September, even overtaking PUBG. PewDiePie made a video on it, and you even had celebrities like Soulja Boy and Neymar playing the game. Even if They weren't very good at it.
Boa, cara. Vai perder o jogo, cara.
Google's own statistics show the majority of searches for Among Us in history happened entirely in September. But there is one big unspoken element that kept the game growing throughout all of this.
WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
It's hard to say exactly how much the COVID pandemic influenced the growth of the game, but its impact shouldn't be understated. During a time when everyone was looking for a social outlet, Among Us provided that, which is sort of funny since playing the game with friends is just silence for ages and then yelling at each other. So it shouldn't be a surprise that so many people across multiple cultures and languages connected with it. We all need social interaction. Among Us never had a dedicated marketing team like the new COD or tons of money pumped into it every month like Fortnite. It was largely a grassroots effort and extreme luck that made the game grow from its initial failure of a launch to where it is today. So if you made a meme out of the game, any fan art, or even just said sus to someone else, you had a hand in keeping people talking about the game. Just by watching this video, you've told the world there's healthy interest in Among Us. Innersloth recently canceled its plans to make Among Us 2 and decided to put all the sequel's content back in the original instead. They definitely wouldn't have done that if the player numbers were still sitting around 30 to 50. So, where do you want to see Among Us going next? Should they add more content for Ghost to do, different cosmetics, or even port it to other consoles? Let us know your thoughts below. I'm Stef Woodburn. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We'll see you next time.